I'm Sue from Talenttalks, and I'm here at the Standard Bank because we're doing a follow-up interview with Josef Langerman, who presented at our conference, Talenttalks Africa 2017, which was held at the Riversands Incubation Hub in June. Ursula is one of our Talenttalks team members. She's passionate about the 21st century world of work, and she's going to do the interview with Josef.
Hello, Josef. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Talenttalks, what we're aiming to do with Talenttalks is, and building on from the conference, is really just find a space of collaboration, and more importantly that as South African human capital practitioners, that we can learn from each other. And you gave us a fantastic presentation that had a lot to do with Kung Fu at our conference, and we had incredible response. And if I can just summarize what we took away from the conference is that it was really exciting, and I certainly know that the delegates were very excited because we saw an organization that is really, really working its way through a journey with people into a 21st century organization, this new world of work. And it is really, really encouraging, and it's complex and it's not so easy, but I think the fact that you've started this journey and that so many of us, so many different organizations can learn of you is really, really important. And what I'd like to get out of our discussion is how you're going about it. How did you start going about it with this new world of work? Obviously, IT, DevOps is complex, many different kinds of skill sets, technical experts. How did it even originate? How did it start? How did we end up from traditional way of work to the way that your division is functioning at the moment?
Sure. I wish I could have said it was all thought out and we had a plan and it was deep insight and was all of it. It was nothing of that. And to make it even worse, I've been teaching software engineering, project management, that type of things for about probably 8 years now, and I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew how to do project management, I thought I knew how to do software engineering, and the carpet got pulled out under me, because when we look at where Standard Bank, as an example, was 3 or 4 years ago, it was terrible and we did all the right things. We probably had the best PMO in the country, project management office. Our architecture followed the best methodologies. We did everything an MBA textbook would tell you, but we weren't successful. And I was very fortunate that with two of my colleagues, David Willifie, who was at those years the head of build for the bank, and Mike Hawthorne, who ran testing, we went to see how people worked overseas. And we went to see Facebook, and it totally blew our minds, the freedom people have, how very little rigor there was and stuff, and how they did everything different to what I was teaching students weekly. And on that flight back, because that's a great thing about intercontinental flights, you have lots of time to think. And in boredom, sitting there, all of the great ideas percolate up. And I just realized, together with my colleagues, we need to do everything different. We started with little experiments on different things. We said, let's try Agile. It seems like a lot of people are doing it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. We said, let's try some DevOps stuff. Let's connect with people and see what it can do for us. And we realized we need to change our culture because, we were so formal. We were so stuck up, to be honest. How do we change that? And that's how it started. It was purely by accident, seeing how other people did things and getting inspired by it.
I think you raise an important point about leadership, which is that leaders that are open to the learning and open to change is a very important starting block. So kudos to you and your colleagues on the aeroplane.
No, sometimes you get a punch in the gut, which just tells you have to change. There was no altruism we were in trouble and we had to do something different. So a need created or a crisis created an impetus to do something different. I wish I could say, woo, it was altruism. We want to do things different. We in a way got a wake-up call.
Okay. And realize that we've got to completely change how we do things. So then, one of the things that we picked up in the conference and that came through very clearly is, obviously your culture, and the fact that there's a heavily laden individual development path that's built around, I would suppose we could say, a bit of individual personal mastery alongside technical development capabilities continuously. And this, obviously underpinning this new world of work culture would be curiosity and the ability to learn more and to be open to it in a particular way. Talk to us a little bit about, through your learning and the development of people from a professional and from a personal point of view, you've now established a very, very interesting culture that's conducive and very conducive to the new world of work. Can you expand on that?
We're not there yet, so it's a journey still for us.
Sure.
So our listeners mustn't for 1 second think we've made it, or we are on a journey to get there more and more. So when we started this journey, we liked the way Dan Pink phrased it, where one of his things were mastery. Mastery is really, really important. And we said we wanted, that's why people join IT mostly, or they join engineering or craft, is because they want to be really, really good at something. And we thought we want to bring that back to our IT people, because what happens over time in large organizations, it's more about the process and it's more about the admin and the bureaucracy and all of that we want to bring that pride and mastery and feeling proud of something back to the work. And there, our group CIO Brenda Niehaus she had this great metaphor, which is we should stop thinking of careers as career ladders, where there's only this one way up. We should start thinking of it as a jungle gym, where your children, they go down the slide, they get used to that, they go on the swing, and you build your skills along different type of angles. And if I'm today an architect, nothing stops me to be a junior project manager next month, or in 6 years from now when I've really cracked that, to become an agile coach. But to have the ability to move between these different things and also give people the opportunity to grow into it. So that became for us very important, to build that skill, or not the skill, but that people want to be the best they can be in their craft.
And not be limited by fear and
Yes.
the sense of what failure has traditionally been in organizations.
Yes. And again, IT organizations are notorious for creating scapegoats. So if somebody breaks the system, or they break production, or the app goes down, we always look for who caused this. We need to find the person that screwed up. And what is nice about some of the new ways of working methodologies are these things called blameless post-mortems, where when you go and reflect back on what happened, or at the end of your 2-week sprint, or when you develop a project, you think back what worked, what didn't work. And when you're in a fear culture, people clam up. They will never tell you what really happened because they're scared. They'll get fired, they will get victimized, they'll be anything like, fall into that category. While if you can get to this blameless post-mortem thing, people speak up because they know that the consequences are different. It's a growth opportunity, it's a growth mindset. It's not a victimization mindset.
So what's very important then is how these self-managed teams are run, which means that you have to have particular kind of characteristics as the team leader. There's a different sense of crucial conversations, I would imagine, the regularity around that. How are you identifying team leaders, and how are you going about growing these very specific nuances around their leadership skills?
So in this new ways of working, there's different types of leadership. So you get Scrum Masters in Scrum teams, you get technical lead that leads technical teams. So there's different levels of leadership. And I must say, one of the mistakes we've made in this journey was that we, in a lot of cases, took people that were there and we just told them to continue, but we've never taught them the skills to be this new type of leader, to be this new type of manager. So where, in a lot of cases where you need consultative leadership, sometimes we put out very top-down type managers who's been used to that, managing like that for the last 20 years. You don't reprogram somebody like in a month or two to change that behavior. So that was probably the biggest mistake we've made, that we should have thought differently about assigning people to roles. So my advice to anybody listening to this is make sure you put the right people in the right roles. But we don't always also have that luxury. So we need to take the people we have and grow them into these new competencies. So some of the things we did, we created these situational leadership or servant-based leadership type interventions. And that was, and please do not laugh at the simplicity of this type of stuff, but sometimes if you give a team a difficult problem to solve and you just record them and you play the recording back and you see how the one team member snatches the cookie from the other team member and the one guy interrupts the other guy, and you see the manager comes in and say, now you all keep quiet, I'll tell you how to do it. People don't realize how they act. Sometimes you must put up a mirror. And we did a lot of that. I think we had over 300 to 400 people that went through intervention like that. And this went viral in a way. We didn't force people. We called it servant-based leadership, and people signed up for it. And the feedback we got were phenomenal. So that was one little action you could do. There's individual coaching, there's team-based coaching, there's changing the way people work by, again, sometimes having posters up which tells you how we expect some of the behavior to be. None of those things are successful in their own right.
Yeah.
It is like a multi-pronged approach. There is no silver bullet.
Yeah, sure. You've been very frank and generous in terms of the journey that you've described of not being that easy. For those that are listening, what are the 5 recommendations about venturing down this incredible journey? What are those, from the lessons that you've learned, what's the gift of advice that we could give to South African organizations about following suit in terms of what you've done?
I think the hard lessons we've learned were, it's easy to change somebody a methodology, and you have to teach them a methodology. Call it agile, just for this discussion, pick one, agile. You have to teach people that. If you're specifically in IT, DevOps is another great way to go about it, which is a different type of methodology. And you can do lean, which is a way to make operations better. Those are great things to teach people. They are not enough in any way, shape or form, because you need to have a underpinning. So the first piece of advice I would give is focus on culture. And this interview is too short to talk about culture. Culture is a whole subject matter on its own. But culture is important. The second thing is, like I said, to make your methodologies worthwhile, you need to have a methodology. So pick a way of working that supports your culture. That's the second one. The third one was to break silos within the organization and also in the industry. We are a country. If only one company tries and succeed, we all pull from the same resource pool. We all hire the people from our competitors and the other way around. So if we want to succeed as a country, you need to build the industry. So reach out. Go see what other people are doing. Go invite people to see what you're doing. Because when you do that, like today you saw, before this interview, you saw how Standard Bank worked. I think you will walk away with a different view, and it would have changed you somehow.
Definitely.
We need to do that across our industry. That's the third one. The fourth one is focus on your craft. If you're an HR practitioner, if you're a tax practitioner for that matter, be on top of your game. In IT, that's how I grew up, is still have an interest in engineering. You cannot do just management or all of that. Be in the work, trying to understand what is happening with your craft. And that's the mastery theme. I think that is very important. And the other thing, and this is it is worth building the industry, but break the silos within your organization. Let's say you're a marketing practitioner. You cannot be successful in these new ways of working if you don't have your HR or human capital partners with you on the journey. You cannot do, again, if you're an IT guy, you cannot do this without your finance person or your finance organization on this journey. So, again, what we've learned to get finance on board, they actually have their own type of agile methodology, which is called beyond budgeting. So get these guys on the journey with you. If you're just going to try and do your department, you're going to fail. And I think that's the lessons I've learned in the last couple of years. And I'm learning every day a new lesson. So that's where we are for today. That's the 5 things.
Fabulous. And then finally, what is the advice? I think globally, South Africa, our human capital, our HR practitioners are in a state of change. We have to become more business orientated. You know, there's obviously been a very important symbiotic relationship that you've developed with HR, Marion and the team. What advice would you give to HR people out there in terms of the shift that's required of them?
I think understand the area you're serving. You cannot come in with your general HR views to a marketing team and think all of the HR rules will work for marketing, or think that all of the HR rules will work for IT, because the individuals are different. It's a different industry, it's a different area, all of those type of things. And where I'm very thankful to our human capital partners is when last year we actually went on to a road trip to see how some of the best international companies did it, and we took HR with us.
Amazing.
And previously there were views within the human capital organization how performance management should work, there's nothing wrong with those things, because that's what we taught people through normal MBAs and BComs, all of those things, how it should work. But when we saw what cutting edge international people are doing, which is more the growth mindset, which is less penalizing, all of those things, they could see for themselves how the IT industry is changing. And they could take that back to their organization and start changing, for example, the performance management process. But you need to take these guys on a journey with you. And they need to understand your business as well. And not just think there's one performance management process that will rule them all. Things are context sensitive, and bring them on the journey with you. That's my advice. And interestingly enough, they would love that. The problem normally is we shut them out. And when we actually invite them in, the response is wonderful, fantastic in a way.
Excellent, thank you. That's very good advice. I think certainly what we take away from the discussion is passion, the ability and the openness to grow as an individual, and I think an openness to doing things differently are very important in terms of how we navigate and how we work our way through into the new ways of work. And we definitely celebrate your passion, and we definitely celebrate the impact that you're making into the software engineering industry in South Africa. And we know that there are fantastic resources that we do and we can access through your Pantere website, and we will certainly put that up for our listeners. And I just wanted to say thank you for helping us get excited about the road ahead. Thank you for the honesty and frankness in terms of it is a journey and your journey continues and so will ours. But thank you, and we so look forward to walking this journey with you and sharing your experiences and lessons learned with everyone else again.
And thanks for visiting us, and continue to do it. So let's walk this road together.